The only change I ever see is the ticket prices. It's
They go up.
$35.
And
It
they
is
go up.
yeah, it is $35 to stand behind the goal. $35 to stand behind the goal, not to mention the like $50 you have to pay for parking.
Bay Area, stand up and let's be heard. No more sitting in the shadows. We're known for our winning ways, and not being the best, that just ain't for us. We're loud, we're proud, and we're unapologetic about it. So even when times are looking as dark as the black and blue we wear on our crest, we tell them that Goonies never say die. And when we're done shaking things up on the pitch, there's another shake coming. This is something that's been created by the people, for the people. This is everything and anything San Jose Earthquakes related. This is Aftershock. Vamos, San Jose.
So, welcome everyone. If you're wondering why we're on Zoom, I sent Jacob a text that if the Earthquakes feel like they don't want to come to work, neither do I. So I didn't want to drive to his house and spend all the time we do setting up the thing if they didn't want to show up and play defense. So that's why we're doing Zoom, because this is much easier.
It's a form of repayment for what they gave us.
I I mean we said it at the end of last podcast that we thought it was going to be rough. And then when I saw the lineups come out and I saw that it was Nanny and DK up top, I knew we were going to be in for a long night. But 4 minutes into a match, having our center back come out and run 5 miles per hour, aka his top speed, and swing for the fences as if it was the kickball championship. My TV is about 10 seconds ahead of Jacob's, maybe 5 seconds. So I start to text him, and before I can finish the text, he's already FaceTiming me to talk about how much he hates Youngworth.
Dude, that was probably one of the worst attempts at a challenge I have ever seen.
And we play pickup with some 60-year-olds.
I'm not even kidding. That was pathetic. Like,
So I don't know if you saw, but I think I was gonna get to it later, but just in case I forget, I think Jacob will be happy to hear this. I think that was officially the last we have seen of Youngworth. I think it was very much a Vega situation where we kept him around for a while, and I think because he got subbed off at the 39th minute after the lightning delay. There were two subs. He was one of them. And on Instagram, usually after a loss or something, he's sending this big "will bounce back," this whatever. Like after every single one, there's been no Instagram story. There's been no nothing. And then the Earthquakes announced this morning that they signed a new center back named Nathan. I don't know if you saw that.
no, I didn't, but that's
So
music to my ears.
yeah, he's this 26-year-old. He was a Brazil youth national player for the U18 and U20 squad. Um, he's 26. He was playing over in Europe from some Switzerland squad. He looks big and he looks athletic. Um, yeah, but again, you never know what the Quakes just showing his highlights. He was part of the Chapo scene. I forget how to pronounce their name, but the team that the Brazil team that had the plane crash. He was part of the rebuild squad for that, and then he went over to Switzerland. Yeah, but he looks like pretty athletic and he's tall. Um, I just wonder if how that affects Alanis and Beeson, or if we go to a three back, or if it's just to get another person in the rotation. But I figured you'd like to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy that news. I welcome that news. However, I mean, I don't
Football, yeah,
I
the
don't
football thing.
understand why it took this long to make a switch. Like, yeah, we joke about Youngworth, but I really think that Beeson could have gotten some more minutes ahead of him, especially in the last few games. Like, I don't understand, but I mean, we'll see what happens. Who knows? Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see because I mean, although the defense was bad this past game, I don't even know if that's our main issue at this moment in time. I don't know if you would agree with this, but I mean, we both know how bad our attack is of recent. I think that's our main problem right now. Like Youngworth is Youngworth. I hate Youngworth, right? But like, we got to find a way to score.
I it's frustrating from multiple standpoints because I just don't understand what's happening. About 30 seconds into the game, you can just see we are completely outclassed. Like
Yeah,
it's just a different was just a different level of pressing and understanding of the game from Orlando, and we did a very strict man-to-man system like we usually do. Marie was all over the place trying to follow Nanny, which it just when you have someone, first off, they have a lot higher quality players, but when you have someone like Nanny who's played in European championships and is genuinely like a smart player, you can't be marking him like that because it will he's too smart. He'll make two runs and it opens up the defense, which it did.
Yeah, I mean,
Had
even
Marie star on the right and Thompson star on the left, and it just that was our big switch, I guess. But it just they were making runs and they were doing things. They were just pulling us apart so easily. And then after the second and third one came through, there was a I think it was for DK's second, or maybe he got an assist on it. There were three of us and two of them, and all three of our like center backs at the time. I know they weren't center backs, but at the moment, they were just like kind of backpedaling and watching the guy with the ball, and then a run was coming in, and they all just watched the guy with the run go through, and they just passed the ball easily. We might as well have been cones. Like it was Orlando after like 3 or 4 goals. It looked like they didn't care too much. Only if we somewhat got into their area, which was once every 20 minutes, and then they
yeah,
would turn it on like that and then just annihilate us. But they looked like they were having a fun scrimmage after a while.
yeah, I completely agree. I mean, yeah, some of our man marking was terrible. Like, I mean, I'll just touch on the Nani thing again, but like, dude, just putting Marie on him. I mean, it's one thing to man mark, but then he wasn't tight enough either. And as soon as you let Nani on the ball, it was over. And especially in and around the box, he was so crafty, and it just we got exposed way too many times.
I
And
Yeah,
and
go ahead.
then like our runs in behind that we just couldn't follow Dyke at all. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, he's huge and like he's obviously fast, but he's not the quickest guy ever.
yeah.
And whoever our center backs were at the time, I knew Judson was on him for a while, but it was like, dude, it was way too easy.
Yeah, I know. At least give them like a challenge, right? Like
Yeah, not
it's ridiculous. Like I know Alanis and Youngworth don't have the most pace, and like even Judson, like when he was there, but it was like it was just so frustrating. And this man-to-man system we're doing, it worked for a while, but now I just feel like teams have learned how to deal with it, and it's exposing us. And that has got to be. I get we're probably pretty fit, and that's like the one thing we have with this squad, but it's like it's probably just tiring us out. We're getting exposed, and then we probably have no energy for our lack of offense we already have. It's very frustrating. We need to change a lot of things, and I've been so pro Almeida and believe the system. And when I was watching this, I was so ready just to be like, we need to sell everything. We need to get rid of everything. It was ridiculous. I was doing my reviews per usual. I do them live during the game and I record the game just in case. And I send Jacob a text about 20-25 minutes in, and I'm like, I I don't know how to give player ratings for this. Like we literally aren't seeing the ball, we aren't pressing, we aren't doing this. So I didn't do them again because they didn't want to show up to work. Neither did I.
just assume an average of a 5,
Zero, zero.
maybe a
I
0.
literally was going to give them all zeros. And Youngworth a -7, but it was just so it was so frustrating to see. I couldn't believe what I was watching. It was I thankfully I found out the only way to watch. Uh, you know what? Actually, yeah, we're gonna get into this now. It's just the club as a whole. It is so almost rude what they're doing, and it's so different in America because we're about these franchises and about building these names, and it is what it is if you're not one of them. Versus in England, and we kind of talked about this when we were mentioning the Super Club a few weeks ago, or like a month or two ago now, but it's more about the city and building community and stuff, and you somewhat see that, but it's just what you see with San Jose is so frustrating. If you look on their Instagram, it's like last time we played this club, or look at this highlight, and then it's like from 2007. It's like that, and then it's still like a 2-3 loss or something, and it's these goals, and the front office is making I, okay, I guess they bought someone today, but like before there were no changes. Like this is the first off season I feel like we've had some sort of buying. Like you don't hear anything. Like yes, I get we're the smallest market and we spent a lot of our money on Almeida, And don't get me wrong, I get Wando is like a club legend and all these other things, but all this money we're spending on him and some of the like Fiero and Rios are making 600,000 plus each. It is taking up our small budget, and it looks like we don't hear any statements. It's just ridiculous what's happening, and we don't see any changes. We don't hear anything. It's just always, oh, we'll bounce back. Oh, we'll do this. Like year after year of getting smacked around, and we just don't hear or see anything about it.
Yeah, it's tricky because I think you're right. I mean, I do think we need a restructuring of the club and we need to establish a long-term strategy. It's tricky though because like for example, Almeida has his moments, right? And the team has their moments where we get into the playoffs and then unfortunately go out, but it was an exciting game and it looks like there was promise. But then we go into the season and have a couple good games and we're here again where we get outclassed by better competition. So I think what I want to see from the management, the upper management of the club, I want to see like some sort of strategy for going forward in respect to reaching the next level. I think we're kind of just plateauing at this fringe spot, where we're just on the cusp of something. We have moments where it's like, oh, okay, we made the playoffs or we barely qualified for the playoffs. But now we have to think about how do we shift this team into a more consistent team that's, easily qualifying for the playoffs, applying pressure to top teams because it always feels like we're the underdogs, right? And, that's good and bad. It's good because you have a chip on your shoulder and all that, but it's bad because it's like, all right, well then what do we have to do to reach that next step, right? And I want to see that more from the club because you're right. I mean, we blow all their money on, assets that probably aren't most effective for what we're dealing with.
I
I
just I want to see a front office that cares about the club. It cares about the fans. It cares about winning and just seeing a change. The only change I ever see is the ticket prices. It's
They go up
$35.
and
It
they
is
go up.
yeah, it is $35 to stand behind the goal. $35 to stand behind the goal, not to mention the like $50 you have to pay for parking and all these other things for the club who officially after today has the worst goals conceded record in the West with 17. I'm paying $35 to stand and watch the to watch my club be scored on the most. Like I get we're down bad and you have to find ways to earn money for the club. But maybe if you work on improving the quality, people will want to go and see. I remember so vividly the 20 like 17 or 28, it was probably actually 2018 2019 season. We beginning of the season, nobody was going to the games per usual. And that was when we were going on that big like losing streak. We were like bottom 4 early on in the season, and then we went on that huge winning streak to like get into like third or second place. You remember that?
Yeah.
Like halfway through the season, I remember like, and then we went on a big away streak, and then the first home game back, packed stadium, packed stadium, absolutely full. People were celebrating before the game, after the game. It was amazing. People want to see winning teams. They don't want to come see bad things, especially in the Bay Area when we're used to having winning teams. We always have so many options. The Sharks are always great. We have two baseball teams to go root for. We have two football teams we can go root for. Warriors, while they sucked for a long time, have become one of the greatest teams in these past years. We always have something to root for. So, in a country that already doesn't care about soccer, having one of the worst teams isn't helping. So we need to find a way to structure the team to help. And obviously, we're not going to be getting these big name signings or really anyone. Invest in the academies and build something. Stop caring about, oh, well, use the academies to make money. How many academy players like actually have made it through or gone somewhere? You and I both are good friends with an academy player who at 16 was on the U18 team, got dropped because of all they cared about was money, and now he doesn't play soccer anymore. Like
Yeah.
we
I mean,
we
I
both
think
know multiple horror stories of the Earthquakes Academy.
yeah, I mean, I think the underlying theme of what you've just covered is, all this, kind of emanates from the club, right? the attitude, the I don't know, just the pure vibe around the team, around the club. It has to start with the club, I think, because you're right. In the world of American sports, especially here, we're very fair weathered, I would say, where you're right. The team does well, then everybody wants to show up and stuff. Ticket prices go up, all that. But you're right. And then it has to start with the club. We have to start producing results. Otherwise, we're just going to stay at this forever. We're going to stay in this gridlock forever because it's so hard to jumpstart something without performances. I think that we have to string together something and go on some sort of run because this is it's hard to progress from here, I think.
Yeah, and if you don't follow us on Twitter at Aftershock SJ, I'm in charge of the social media accounts, and I had a banger of a tweet recently.
Multiple likes.
Yeah, and retweet and comments under it. But I have it right here for everyone. If this would just move out of the way so I could.
Those statistics are misleading. This was taken 3 minutes after the tweet. Just imagine now. It's got like thousands of retweets.
Yeah, exactly. I don't. Do you see this little bar right here?
I do, but it's fairly small. Like it's
Yeah, whatever. All right. Actually, I want everyone to be able to see our logo. Technical difficulties. So just for those that are listening, here's the tweet. Just to remind everyone, we are in a 6-game winless run. We have 1 goal scored in the last 6. We have 12 goals conceded in the last 6. And this is the one that literally makes me sick to my stomach. And I think this is the one that really drives the point home. We have 1 point out of a possible 18 in our last 6 games, among other issues. It is simply inexcusable and something needs to be done. 1 point out of a possible 18. So when we're a team for the last 2 or 3 seasons where we've been missing playoffs or making playoffs by 1 point or by goal differential, when you've just dropped 17 points and you only needed 3 to make playoffs, it's runs like this that are ridiculous. And it's just frustrating to see that we have dropped 17 points in the span of a couple weeks. Obviously, we're not going to get all 18 points. That's not who we are. We're not Seattle Sounders who are in a 10-game unbeaten streak. But if we got all of those 17 points, we'd be top of the table right now. If we got half of those points, we'd still be mid-table, top half of the mid-table. If we got a third of those points, we would still be in the playoff contention with a decent lead over some of the other people. But we've got 1 point out of 18.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to point out if you could pull that back out real quick.
Yeah.
The number that really makes me frustrated is the goal for statistic where it's 1 scored in the last 6. I like I mentioned before, I think the defense, this past game was terrible for defense, but the one that's really bad is you only score 1 in the last 6. You're not going to get points if you can't score. You're not going to win games if you can't score. It's obvious, but it's so difficult for us to score right now. Sometimes you're going to have games that are going to be tied 0-0, 1-1, but if we can't put any of that together, the best we're hoping for right now is 0-0 draws with the way we're attacking. I mean, you've got to find ways to score. It's unacceptable. And I think what's frustrating for me is that we're on this huge, like, goalless run right now. We just can't put anything in the back of the net. And we're still putting Wando and Rios out there to start. And that's just inexcusable to me. It really makes me question, okay, why is Wando still playing still? I mean, we've had this conversation probably multiple times this last season, but it's like, okay, you're still extending Wando for all these contracts. I mean, 1-year contracts and paying him multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars per year. And then for what? I'm kind of confused. Is he a leader out there? I mean, I don't care at this point. I mean, it's hard to be a leader when you're not really doing anything.
You're leading
Like,
them to the second worst record. Like,
yeah, it's. And I don't want to be too harsh on Wando because obviously he's so old, but it's like, okay, I understand he's a good vocal presence and everything, but when you're a striker and you can't score, it's like, okay, what are you still doing? I don't know.
so, like I said earlier, we have the MLS worst record in the West for 17 goals conceded. We've conceded 12 of those in the last six. And some people may be looking at this and be like, you guys are being too harsh. They're just going on a bad run. It's a bad string of games. And that's why I feel like the 1 out of 18 points really highlights that. But what's frustrating about that is we're not seeing changes. Yeah, yes, there's been changes to the lineup, but there really hasn't been much of a like overall change. It's very similar. Where we're not seeing a fire lit under their butts. We're not seeing anything from it really, and we're not seeing like passion. We're not seeing this fight to try and get out of it, and it's just so frustrating. And we see it year after year after year after year. So this isn't just an ooh, we're having a bad run, we'll get back into it. It's more of when we're having the good games, we're really excited, and then as soon as we start losing again, it's like, oh,
Yeah,
so,
and I just want to repeat and echo what we mentioned at the beginning of the season. We always bring up how we, for some reason, go on these good streaks, and then they're always accompanied by bad streaks. We always have these sorts of runs every year, and I think that's what's frustrating. I think that kind of is what you're trying to encapsulate, because it's one thing if you have a bad run of games and such, but it seems like this is a recurring theme each year where it happens all the time. And then at the end of the season, we look back and we think, okay, we barely made the playoffs, and now we're going to play the first seed, or okay, we just missed the playoffs. And we look back at the games that we play and we think, okay, what games cost us points? And we look at these huge runs like this, and we're like, okay, you cannot go one draw out of 6 games. It's just not good enough. And I think we have to keep that in mind. This is a recurring theme.
and we are probably some of the most understanding and like ask the least of our team like fans there has ever got to be in that like ever sports, because I remember the first, like, it was probably Almeida's first season. We were going on like a big losing streak or like a big like tie streak, but we were scoring like 2 or 3 goals per game and like still losing, or we were at least playing like really hard and like having like entertaining games, but the other team was just getting it over us, and we were like, oh, Vega conceded this, or we were unlucky here, but that was fun. We had counter, we did the. We're not even seeing that now. Like, we just ask for competition. We just ask that you play hard, like, and we're just not even seeing that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's I look at the squad and I try to think of what to even try to improve, like what's our main needs going forward, because I think you're right. I think there has to be some sort of structural change in the squad, and I don't even know what's going on in the management. The management isn't really public about the decisions and stuff, but I mean, to be fair, there haven't been many changes like you said, but we can always analyze the squad, and I just think, okay, what's the most needed upgrade and improvement? And I don't even know. There's so many. It's tough. Like, what would you even recommend?
I mean, I get so easy for anyone to say, oh, do this, do that. And like, I'm just a college kid, right?
Yeah.
But like, I look at this squad and I say, we're clearly fit, and that is our attribute. We don't have the highest IQ and we don't have the highest ability. This man-to-man system isn't working anymore. I think we need to go to more zonal marking and a more defensive-minded team that's just like clogging up space, and then that would like being really disciplined on defense and just forcing them wide, clogging up the middle, and then hopefully that can suck in enough pressure where we can use counter, because that seems to be our only option. But I mean, it is what it is. But we got the game again. We got the Classico. I mean, how dare them even call it that on tomorrow. LA versus or LA Galaxy versus us. I'll be going to the game. You'll be.
I'll
Uh,
be down in LA actually,
yeah,
funny
I don't know if
enough.
you're gonna be able to watch it. I mean, I guess you can watch it on Twitter, but
Yeah, I'll keep up with it. I'll probably watch it. Like
oh,
I'll
that's
record.
something else I want to bring up. It is just like it is like when I was bringing up the point about anytime anything's on Instagram, it's like from 2007. We can't even stream games. We can't get. We're the only team in the area. There's no Warriors basketball going on, and we can't even get a game on TV. Everything has to be on this like Spanish channel or something else. And I get we're a very like Hispanic club, and we're doing and that's the culture that comes with the club. But you can't get our local broadcasting. We have like three local broadcasting stations, and we can't get one of them to go on it. The only way to stream our games are through Twitter or through the radio. Are you kidding me? It's embarrassing. It's like we don't care. We just like it's a joke. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I mean, I think just nobody wants to watch.
Yeah,
Um,
probably. I don't blame them.
the other thing though, too, and I'm like, I just thought about this. I was like, well, why aren't we playing more of the youth again? It seems like the last couple games that's dried up. Almeida has clearly opted for more experience in the wake of this terrible run we're on. But I think it could be better if we just go for these exciting young players. I don't know, maybe throw in Haji or something like that. I don't know. I feel like we should switch it up. That's for sure.
I respect him for sticking with his guys and showing faith in them, but at a point like this, there needs to be a statement made saying, "Look, this is unacceptable." And it's you play hard and then you play. I don't care how many goals you've scored throughout your career. I don't care if you've been our best player in the past. I don't care if you're an international player. You show up to training, you play hard, you play. You show up to the games, you play hard, you continue to play. You don't perform, you don't play, you're subbed out. I don't care. I just don't. There needs to be a statement made by Almeida. And that's why I respect what he did with subbing off Youngworth and I forget who the other one was. Um, yeah, I don't even remember. But I respect that at the 39th minute being like, this is ridiculous. This is how like dumb. Like, get out of here. But I need to see more of that. No one's spot is safe. No one's spot is safe. And I have a feeling that the Quakes are a problem. I feel like the management is probably a problem with that. I feel like Jackson Ewell is going to be in the squad, and that is some no matter what. And I'm not saying he played bad, and I'm not saying he needs to be subbed out, but I'm saying they probably look and they say Jackson Ewell and maybe even JT now, who again I think should be start both should be starting anyways. I think they look at them and they say those are international players. They bring in the tickets. They do this, that, and the other. You play them no matter what their performance is. And that's such an American soccer thing to do to be like, oh, they're on the national team or they're one of the favorites. So maybe they're not even our best players, but we're going to put them on the national team and we're going to give them the spotlight just because they're in the boy club that we've created. And again, I think they're some of our better players and they should be starting anyways. But I have a sneaking suspicion that there's a little boy club through American soccer. Actually, I know that's for true. Um, but I feel like they're a part of it, and I feel like there's a chance that the front office is saying, "Look, these players play."
I think that obviously Ewell and JT are probably some of our best players. I think that the main issue though is Almeida probably isn't given too much flexibility with his signings.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, like, you
Well, I
know,
mean, you say that, but like, look at all the last like 7 signings we had, other than this Nathan guy. They've all been previous players of his.
sure, I guess so. I don't know. It just feels like we've locked in his players to such big contracts now. They're not going to leave willingly.
Oh yeah, Nathan's on a 3-year deal with an option to buy for a 4th year.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, it's just it's just kind of now we're in a spot where it's going to be difficult to make changes quickly to the squad, as far as like external, bringing in
Also,
external talent.
that
And
we
so
with.
I think they've got to look at what's going on within the squad internally, look at the younger players and see how they could rotate, because I'm not sure there's going to be ability to make huge changes, really.
I mean, I think we have the pieces we can work with. Like, change the lineup, change players. Like, and I don't mean put Wando in at left mid or attack. I mean, really change things up.
We switched Fiero for Wando.
Yeah. All right. This is frustrating. All right, we got the game versus Galaxy. Um, what are some changes you want to see? Like, how do
I
you
mean,
want?
I think I'll just emulate what I said prior. I want to see, instead of Wando out on the left because I think Fiero was hurt or whatever. I want to see a player like Hadji out there. I want to see a younger player, a little more exciting.
I'm probably putting Thompson there as well.
Thompson, I want to see some of that. I want to see obviously Espinoza, probably Chofis. And as far as the back line, I have no idea. That's the problem for this game because I'm not sure how many other changes we can make at the front. Maybe throw in Kikanovic or whatever. But as far as the back line, I don't know, man. Probably Alani stays for sure.
Yeah, throw.
I think is Lopez even.
He's on international duty right
Yeah, so that's toast.
now. Murray's been playing fine for me.
Murray's fine.
JT obviously, and then
JT, and then I
throw
think
in
probably
Alexis or
Beeson.
something. I like throw in a right back. Like,
Beeson.
I mean, last time we played Galaxy, it was a 1-0 loss off an own goal. I believe Beekson had it, correct?
Yeah,
And
but
but
they put a lot
I
of pressure
thought
on him.
LA was having a bad game.
Yeah,
And
they
I don't
still should have won that game.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll be a little bit more fueled. It's gonna be a packed stadium. It's gonna be the first fully open stadium, and I believe it's sold out. At least that's what they're telling everyone.
Yeah.
I'll be sure to be loud and proud, as hard as it can be sometimes when I'm there. But yeah, like you said, I God, it's tough. I would be fine. I don't think Nathan will be there in time.
No, that would be crazy too.
Yeah. So yeah, Beeson and Alanis, but
If Youngworth comes out, I just want to say this. If Youngworth is in the starting lineup, I will actually flip out, dude. I'm not kidding.
I would like to see Judson, Remedy, Yule, and Shofi all find a way to be in that midfield. Cal needs to be starting. I think he's
Yeah.
off the bench.
Yeah, I can't
Um,
believe I just started over him.
yeah, Wando and Salinas need to stay on the bench. Salinas has been a good sub. Bring him on.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I thought Salinas has actually been pretty well. I mean,
yeah,
pretty good this last few weeks.
offensively at least.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
Kinovic or Haji, it'd be nice to see an appearance from. I don't even know what else we have. Like, it's frustrating.
but we'll see in a day or so how we play. I mean, let's just hope that we can come out with something exciting following that terrible game against Orlando.
Yeah. Now we have our fan question for the week. This comes from Devin Perez. Hashtag Ask Aftershock. What are your thoughts on how Almeida has shaped the Quakes? Net positive or net negative? You want to start?
Um, Net positive for me, I think. I think there's been some really good moments compared to before he came. I think that at the end of the day, he has qualified for the playoffs, and last year we had a few good moments in the bubble and stuff, but I wouldn't say it's a huge net positive though either. I think that he's definitely had a positive influence on the club. I think that in a lot of games, I know as of recent it hasn't been great, but there have been a lot of memorable Almeida games where we've been able to score and we've been able to control the game. I think that's one of the biggest influences he's had is that we've been able to possess it a lot more. And you obviously want that. You want to control the game. You want to have the ball. It's no fun defending the whole game. But at the same time, we do have terrible moments like these. And I wouldn't say it's a huge net negative or positive, but I would probably lean towards the positive side. I don't know what you think.
I completely agree with absolutely everything you said. I think it's a net positive. Uh, Again, part that's probably because the bar was so low.
Yeah, I know.
I think he is doing the absolute most he can with these players. I don't think he's working with a lot. My critique of him, and it's something I have with a lot of coaches, is they have one game plan and that's what they kind of stick with. And once it's kind of abused, they don't know how to deal with it. And with Almeida, again, it's a little bit harder because I think he's kind of not working with a lot, so he can't just like constantly be switching. And to be fair to him, in that Austin FC game when he went to that 4-4-2, I was kind of critical of him, and I kind of watched it back a little bit. He kept going like this to Wando and Cade, I believe, to tell them one play under the other. So he kind of probably wanted a 4-5-1, and I just don't think they were listening to him. But it's hard for him to make these changes and do these things, and I think he needs to make a lot of changes to how he's been analyzing the game. It's hard to do mid-season, but overall, like you said, there's been positive moments. We've seen a resurgence in the team. There's been a lot of great moments, and there's been sort of an identity to the team since he's arrived. But it's still like the bar's so low that anything is a positive. Like,
Yeah. I mean, I think if things don't improve throughout this season, I think we definitely have to take a look and reevaluate the whole club. I mean, regardless, I think we have to reevaluate the whole club every season. But especially if things don't improve, we need to think, okay, there's a need for some big changes.
I think you give him one more season after this because he's got a lot of the pieces and he's had time to build. And if we don't start seeing consistency, and I don't blame Almeida, I because I think he's proven that he can do quality things. I think it's just not right for us. I think the management needs to change from, I believe Fisher is his name, all the way at the top. Needs to change after this season. From top to bottom, need to get in. And I feel bad for the staff because I think they're working hard and they're doing what they can, but it's just not working out. And there needs to be a identity change. And when that new change were to come, even though it's not going to, because it's never going to happen, I wouldn't even want to winning season for the first 2 or 3 years. I would just want to see that we're building towards something.
I think we're lucky there isn't relegation. That's for sure.
No, I wish there was so that we could be playing in the 15th division right now so that we could understand.
Yeah, it's not good.
I mean, and back to that earlier point where I made of like people going for who they like and when the team is good, this, that, and the other. Do you know how many Oakland roots stuff I've seen? And I get we both live closer to Oakland than we do to San Jose, but everyone was so pro Oakland whenever it was first coming out, and then they started to tank because they aren't a very good squad, and you didn't see any Oakland root stuff. And even though they were terrible, because of money they got promoted to the USL, so you start seeing a bunch of Oakland stuff again. So it's a much bigger problem than just the earthquakes. It's American soccer as a whole, and you kind of saw that with the Super League start to take over. But yeah, it's so unbelievably frustrating. I just it's taken years off my life.
Yeah. But we'll see what happens. I mean, there's still
Yeah,
a lot of games. There's still a lot of games left in the season.
Yeah, I want to win. It's the rivals. I get they're a better team. It's the rivals, and we've dropped so many points. I want to win, and I want it with 2 or 3 goals. I want a dominating performance. I want, at the very least, show me you're pissed off as a player and as a management, and that you want to come out and win.
I think at the very least, I just want a goal. I just want a
You're
goal.
asking for a lot. I'm gonna be honest. Actually, we might score another own goal.
Maybe, but that's not what I'm looking for. I just really want a goal. I want something to cheer for from the fans. I want a sign of hope. That's for sure.